Hello and good morning. It's Phil Thatchett. I'm out this morning at Harrison Bay State Park, just kind of driving around and looking for birds. It is really early in the morning. Sunrise was just 15 or 20 minutes ago, and today it's 100% overcast, so there's not much light at all. And I am working today with my R6 and the 100 to 500 lens and the 1.4 teleconverter. It's a new gizmo that I got, and that makes this lens at its maximum a 700 millimeter f10, which f10 is really slow, but it's faster than my 800 f11. So haven't seen too much so far. I did find a squirrel over here in the woods behind me, and I slowed my shutter speed all the way down to 1/25th of a second and made a couple of shots of it out the window of the car. And even at 1/25th of a second, I still needed a ridiculously high ISO, and now I can't remember what it was, 8,000 ISO at 1/25th to get a shot of this squirrel. But it should get a little bit brighter. It's not going to ever get really bright today because it's 100% overcast, but it should get a little bit brighter as the morning progresses, and I'll probably stay out here for 2 or 3 hours and see what I can find, and hopefully I can get my shutter speed above 1/100th at some point this morning. So let's look at that squirrel, and I'll keep working. Here is the squirrel photograph at 1/25th of a second, and there is a little bit of motion blur in this. I've found that the 100 to 500 combined with the 1.4 has really incredible image stabilization, a little bit better than the already great image stabilization in my 800 f11. With the 800, I can get down to about 1/250th. With this combination, I can get a good bit slower than that, but 1/25th is too slow. I'm reminded of exactly how lucky Heather and I were a couple or 3 weeks ago when we were in Florida and went to Viera Wetlands and Merritt Island, because there were birds everywhere, easy to find, large, so you didn't have to have a whole lot of focal length to fill the frame. And now back home in Tennessee, it is tough. But I came over to the area I'm in now, and I heard a number of pine warblers, which you may even hear some making sounds in this clip, but I never, there goes one, but I never saw one. I heard a golden crowned kinglet, but never saw one. I saw some chipping sparrows, but they're so tiny and I didn't get a photo of one. But I also found and followed around for a little while what looked like a mated pair of yellow-bellied sapsuckers, and they are wintertime visitors to our area, and I have not seen or photographed one all winter. So that was really cool to see a pair of them. But they were hanging out really high in the trees, and so they were tiny in the frame and heavily backlit, and a lot of times there was little branches in the way of the shot. And I kind of worked on them for a little while, and then I would try to find a pine warbler for a little while, and then I'd find them again. And then, just a few moments ago, one flew across and landed on this pine tree right behind me, and only about 3 or 4 feet off the ground, maybe 5. And so I was able to get pretty close to it, and I made at least one shot of this yellow-bellied sapsucker that I really am happy with. So let's look at that finally. I was genuinely thinking I was going to go all winter without even seeing a yellow-bellied sapsucker, and after some persistence this morning, I ended up getting a really satisfactory photograph of a yellow-bellied sapsucker. This one is a female, I'm pretty sure, and look how close its colors match the bark of this tree it's on. I'm still at it. I've been roaming around all over Harrison Bay State Park, and I've seen all sorts of wildlife. I saw a downy woodpecker, eastern bluebirds. Here is a beautiful eastern bluebird, really cute little bird. This one is a female. The males have a little bit more and brighter color, but I think the females are just beautiful as well. And here is a downy woodpecker, very cute woodpecker, the smallest of the North American woodpeckers. And this is the second of 4 woodpecker photographs in this video. The yellow-bellied sapsucker is also a woodpecker. So I was really happy with this as a woodpecker day. You know, Harrison Bay State Park is kind of famous for easily being able to see deer, and I ran into some deer earlier this morning, and I ran into some more deer right here, which are, I don't know if you can see them. Let me point the camera out the window. There they are, right outside the window of the car, just checking me out. They can hear me talking. When I wasn't talking, they were just feeding, but now they can hear me talking and they're paying attention to me. That's how close this deer is. I've got my Nikon ZFC zoomed to 50 millimeters and I'm filling the frame. I made this clip with the Canon R6 and the 100 to 500 and the teleconverter. This one was from much further away of these deer as they were feeding there beside the parking lot. And then here is one photograph. I didn't make many photographs of the deer for whatever reason, but this was one of the very smallest of those deer there at the parking lot. And it was feasting on a pine tree, and I thought it was really cute, even though there is some motion blur at 1/125th. If you follow the channel much at all, you know that I really struggle to make photographs of blue jays. Very common bird, but very smart. And when people get close to them with a camera, they tend to scurry away before you can get a shot. But I did get, it's not a great photo, but I did get a photo of a blue jay today, so that's pretty cool. Here is my blue jay photograph there in the grass near the parking lot. I took this, as I did most of these photos, out the window of the car. And I know it's not a great photo, but I'm really thrilled to get a photo of a blue jay. Well, I came back around to the area where I saw the yellow-bellied sapsucker, just to kind of see if there was anything going on over here. And people who watch the channel often may remember a video I made from this location a couple of months ago, and there were lots of American coots. There's actually probably 20 or 30 American coots out there right now. But in that video, there were probably 3 or 4 times that. And I made a video clip of the coots out the window of the car in the rain. And I said, you know, bald eagles do prey on American coots. Wouldn't it be something if one flew down and nabbed one of these American coots? Well, here they are. The American coots are here. And I was in the car and looking out the window. And all of a sudden, a juvenile bald eagle comes down and kind of swoops over the coots. It didn't nab one, and then it flew off. And as I saw it flying around, I got the camera and immediately started making shots of it. But I was set up for perched birds. I was at 1/100th of a second, so those photos are all blurry. And then it landed. You can see where it kind of comes out to a point right there. And it landed in a tree, and I watched it for just a little bit of time. And while I was watching it, I sped my shutter speed up to 1/500th, and then it came down and dove on something kind of around the corner, and I made a couple more shots of it. But anyway, it was awesome to see a immature bald eagle this morning, and I decided that I would hike around. You can get over there now. In the summertime when the water's up, you can't walk across there, but this time of year you can walk right across and go over to that what is not an island now and is an island in the summer. And I walked around over there a little bit and did not ever see the bald eagle again, but I did get a photograph of a red-headed woodpecker, so that was cool too. This is the photograph I made of the immature bald eagle after it had landed in a tree, and I adjusted my shutter speed up to 1/500th, and then it took off again, and I made this real quick photo before it went around the corner. And then I went over to that island where the bird was and did not see the bird. It must have flown off, but I did see this squirrel. I thought it was pretty cool looking, playing I'm King of the World on top of this rotted out old tree. And as I mentioned in the video clip, I also saw a red-headed woodpecker. It's a terrible photograph of a red-headed woodpecker, horribly backlit, and I was pointing the camera straight up. But it was cool to see a red-headed woodpecker that day. It's really windy right here, so I apologize if there's wind noise. It's going to storm a little bit later today. But I stayed in this same location where I made that last video clip here at this concrete picnic table. And another bald eagle came across. This one was an adult. It flew in from the right and flew over and kind of went over to that same point. This is my favorite photograph of the day. Even though the bird is horribly small in the frame and it's a 700 millimeter shot and the ISO is 6400, I still thought it came out really, really cool. And it's highly cropped as well. I just like, it almost looks like a landscape photography picture that has a really nice and sharp and highly detailed, considering all the cropping and distance, bald eagle in the frame. Turned out really cool, I thought. I walked to the right, which led me down that way a pretty good ways, and I didn't see any signs of a eagle nest. And then I came back over here to where I am now, which is on the island for lack of a better word, although it's not an island right now with the water down. And I found the spot right down there. You might be able to see some branches sticking up out of the water. That's where I made a photo of the immature bald eagle perched down there a little while ago. Here is the photograph of the immature bald eagle on that fallen tree there in Chickamauga Lake, and it was really windy, and that's why the water is so wavy. I made this photograph from all the way back over near where the picnic table was, not right beside it like I showed in the video clip. And then when I was getting ready to leave, I had already made the bye-bye clip, which you haven't even seen yet. I got back over to the car, and there is a white-breasted nuthatch in this tree, so I had to make a photograph of that. And even better than the white-breasted nuthatch, here is a red-bellied woodpecker. I believe this one is a male, and it was over on the curb right at the edge of the parking lot. And I was able to get really close to this one. Didn't have to crop this one as much as some of my shots. Still 700 millimeters, and yay, I finally got the pine warbler that I had been hearing all morning long. Every time I was in that parking lot, I heard pine warblers calling and singing, but I never did see them until I was about to leave. So here is a pine warbler. Well, I think I am going to call it a morning. It's been a nice morning back at Harrison Bay State Park. I probably would have called it quits a lot earlier, except for the whole bald eagle extravaganza. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and all that kind of stuff. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye from Harrison Bay State Park in Hamilton County, Tennessee.